Behind every iconic franchise was a team experimenting with ideas, concepts, and innovations that didn't always make it to the finish line. What if one of those scrapped ideas could have been the next blockbuster franchise? What groundbreaking mechanics, unique story, or unforgettable worlds were left in development limbo? Today, we're diving into the canceled games of the Xbox 360, a glimpse into what could have been the next Halo or Call of Duty. Join me as I uncover their stories, starting with our first canceled game, Spider-Man 4. Yes, that Spider-Man 4. As many of you know, Spider-Man 4 was both a canceled fourth entry in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man film trilogy and a planned tie-in video game developed to coincide with the movie's release. The game was in development under Activision, with Radical Entertainment, the studio behind the Prototype series, leading its production. The game was intended to feature Tobey Maguire reprising his role as Peter Parker Spider-Man, mirroring the continuity of the films and the previous game adaptations. Its development marked a continuation of the successful Spider-Man movie game tie-ins, which had garnered critical and commercial acclaim for their open-world gameplay and web-slinging mechanics. The game would have been set in an open-world New York City hub, allowing players to freely swing through the city using Spider-Man's iconic web-swinging abilities. There is a Daily Bugle building interior in the missions list as well, but unfortunately the game crashes anytime I try to access it. But we can still swing by it and check out the interior, but its purpose, whether as a mission hub or for cutscenes or as an explorable area, remains unclear. And as you can see, this is a pretty early build of the game, and as such, there are still a ton of ways you can break it. Like this one where if you jump immediately after shooting a web, it propels you upward. I was able to go all the way into the sky by doing this constantly. But one thing to note is that something about the swinging in this game feels so good, especially when you have built up a ton of momentum and speed. As you can see, this gameplay also showcases a highly detailed model of New York City, which was reportedly one of the most significant aspects of this game's development. Radical Entertainment was known for crafting immersive urban environments, as seen in Prototype, and this expertise would have carried over into Spider-Man 4. Again, there's still a ton of bugs in this prototype. You could see cars going through buildings and even floating in the air. A funny thing I found though is that whenever NPCs spawn above the water, they just immediately fall straight into the water. Based on this gameplay and the game's design philosophy, it likely would have had included collectibles, side missions, and crime-solving activities, hallmarks of previous Spider-Man titles. Players may have faced iconic villains from Spider-Man's Rogue Gallery, but again, no specific antagonists were confirmed before the game was cancelled. There were, however, these robo-tank bots that are left in this gameplay I found. How they would fit into the story's narrative is unknown, but I thought they looked pretty funny and they would definitely fit inside of a Spider-Man video game. Again, as you can see, this was very early in development. This bridge doesn't really make any sense. And as you can see, cars are going through this geometry and NPCs just walking wherever they really wanted to. One really cool detail is that since this game was supposed to be a continuation of the Spider-Man movies, you could still see some areas that we've seen in the movies, including the building from Spider-Man 2 where Spider-Man fought Doc Ock, and it's completely destroyed here too. Moving on to combat, we do have some really cool insights as to what Radical Entertainment was planning for this game. Here's a short list of encounters, of which one includes a helicopter fight. The mechanic here would be that in order to stop the enemy helicopter, you would have to web it up manually using the buildings around you. It wasn't all part of a cutscene like in Spider-Man 2018, you would literally have to web it up. Super neat. Here's a brief cutscene I found too. Again, this wasn't Tobey Maguire in this prototype, but the final game would have had him as a voice actor.
Slow day.
Oh man, I'm tired. My wife has been in a game tonight. The double-edged choke. State's Attorney General Channing Reitz is renewing calls for the city to stick Spider-Man with the $1.5 million bill.
1.5 million? Send Hobgoblin the bill. He flew into the Jumbotron, not me.
10-4, Police Chopper 3 inbound, responding to backup request, West Side Shipping Terminal.
Damn it!
Tail road is gone. Mayday! Mayday! We're going down.
Here we go again.
Hey, it's the webhead! Forget the cops, they're done for. Get Spider-Man!
How awesome was that? And now, after the cutscene ends, we jump right into the action of shutting this helicopter down in one of the coolest mechanics we never got in a Spider-Man game.
What the hell?
Playing this game reminded me of how much the earlier Spider-Man games shaped my childhood. I used to be addicted to games like Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate Spider-Man when I was a kid. If you guys want to see me cover any prototypes of those games in the future, I would love to. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And with that said, we arrive at our first combat encounter against some random thugs. Again, this game seemed to have a big emphasis on web-based battles. Also, fighting these clowns was such a blast. I'll let the gameplay speak for itself here.
Rest up, big guy.
We'll deal with the webhead. The rest of you keep loading the truck.
That's far enough.
Despite its cancellation, Spider-Man 4 remains a point of fascination for fans of both the Raimi trilogy and superhero gaming. This gameplay hinted at a game that could have been a worthy successor to the earlier Spider-Man titles, combining open-world exploration with engaging gameplay mechanics. Though we have modern Spider-Man games like Spider-Man 2018, and again, that game has raised the bar for the genre, Spider-Man 4 stands as a what-if scenario in gaming history. A project that, had it been completed, might have shaped the future of superhero games in new and exciting ways. For our next game, we have one that I'm super excited to show you. This is the cancelled Halo Mega Bloks spin-off. Codenamed Hagar, this game was developed by N-Space in collaboration with 343 and the Mega brand. It was intended for the Xbox 360, and this game was in development for just only 10 months before its cancellation around 2013. The game featured action, exploration, and user creativity, kind of similar to how the LEGO game series worked. Players would control characters in a third-person perspective, utilizing familiar Halo weapons, vehicles, and equipment. This game was built using Unreal Engine 3. It was considered a fully AAA project within the company N-Space, but despite significant progress, the game was abruptly cancelled by Microsoft, and after the cancellation, N-Space repurposed elements from this game into a new project called Backyard Heroes, which also remained unreleased. Similar to the LEGO games, this game featured a Mega Bloks building mechanic, allowing players to get across terrain and, as we will see later, other really cool gameplay mechanics as well.
Cody reports a Forerunner temple head.
This game would also feature short but fun puzzles as well, starting with a simple jumping puzzle. And as you'll be able to see, I took this kinda slow because anytime you would jump as Chief in this game, he would just go flying.
Power source, though.
One aspect of this game that I really enjoyed was just how beautiful it was. You had great massive vistas like we see in the mainline games. It really felt like a what if scenario where what would the Halo games look like in this LEGO format? And just like the LEGO games, this game would feature over-the-top and hilarious cutscenes too. And also, this is where that building mechanic that I was showing you earlier would come into play. You can actively change the battlefield with what you build. And of course, this game would also have short boss battles too, including the infamous Hunter Dance from Halo Combat Evolved. This game really seemed like it would be a love letter to classic Halo fans. Oh, and of course, you would have a bubble shield as well, because why not? In this next section, you're supposed to build a warthog and travel through the map, but unfortunately, anytime I tried to spawn in a vehicle, the game would just freeze. So, instead of using a vehicle, I just manually ran the entire warthog run. And yes, it does seem like there was supposed to be some sort of warthog run in this game. Eventually, you end up at yet another beautiful area with Mega Bloks Forerunner structures. Oh, and also, just before anybody gets angry in the comments, yes, I realize I call this game LEGO-like, so I apologize in advance for any Mega Bloks fans, but I like to switch them up sometimes. And again, in this section, you're supposed to be on a warthog, but I'm kind of just hoofing it as Master Chief, so that's why it looks a little bit weird. I will say though, with the way Master Chief jumps in this game and how far he goes, I feel like this would be a really fun game to try to speedrun. And again, here's another building mechanic. This time you're building a man cannon to launch you forward into the next stage of this level. Again, super cool how there's so many different combinations of stuff you can build in this game. There's defensive stuff, there's offensive stuff, and there's also terrain-based items you can build too. Also, just to note, if it seems like I'm instantly killing all the enemies here, it's because I am. There's a debug menu in this game, and I think I accidentally turned on instant kill for enemies, but I wasn't too sure on how to disable it, so yeah. Moving on to the next area, this game was supposed to have a really fun game mode which resembled Halo Reach's generator defense, where players defended objectives against waves of enemies. Again, just like before, it would have featured the Mega Bloks building mechanic, where you would build defensive capabilities around the map, like turrets and barriers. One thing to note is that I really love the way the weapons sound in this prototype too. It's like a more bubbly version of the weapons from the mainline Halo games. Once you finish the 3 waves, you would have to fight a hunter and make your way to the next Forerunner structure. I just love the way the animations and graphics for this game ended up looking like, especially for the Forerunner structures here. It's absolutely crazy to think that the team behind this game cooked this up in around 10 months. And here is the Warthog run I was talking about earlier. I don't know if there were supposed to be enemies here, but it would have been really cool to see if I was able to use a Warthog, but alas, I was not. Moving on to the next area, you would have to build another Forerunner Mega Bloks structure and then complete a jumping puzzle. And once you reach the end of it, there was a short Simon Says puzzle you also had to do. And at this point, you can start to see that the areas of the game being less polished than what we saw at the beginning. But the last area I wanted to show you guys was probably my favorite throughout this game. You have to hoof it across this dam while banshees destroy the dam right underneath you. I thought this was really cool and even something that reminded me of the last mission in Halo 3. And with that, that's the story of Project Hagar, a game that dared to take the Halo universe in a playful, creative direction but never got the chance to shine. It's a reminder of how even the most ambitious projects can get cut short, leaving us to imagine what could have been. Who knows, maybe one day we'll see a similar concept resurface, but until then, Project Hagar remains a fascinating what if in Halo history. For our next game, we have the cancelled Sledgehammer Vietnam Call of Duty. This was supposed to be a third-person Call of Duty. After founding Sledgehammer Games in 2009, the founders made Activision a proposal. They would attempt to replicate their success with Dead Space with a third-person spin-off of the Call of Duty franchise, and Activision sat on the proposal for weeks until the CEO, Bobby Kotick, offered to bring the studio into the Activision fold. Of course, the founders accepted, viewing Activision's independent studio model as an opportunity to preserve the company's creative culture, development methodologies, and staff. And after that, Sledgehammer spent 6 to 8 months working on Call of Duty Vietnam, and they even had a 15-minute prototype ready. However, Activision told Sledgehammer Games to stop development of this game so they can help out with Modern Warfare 3, and all we were left with was these 2 concept arts from the game. I understand why Activision wanted them to stop. They were set in their ways with a winning first-person shooter formula, but it is heartbreaking to know that we missed out on the first real Call of Duty spin-off that would have broken the traditional mold that we know with Call of Duty now. But as some of you may know, Call of Duty Vietnam wasn't the only cancelled Call of Duty game. For our next game, I have for you Call of Duty Future Warfare. In 2010, after Activision released Modern Warfare 2, Neversoft was tasked with creating a Call of Duty game. Based off of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 engine, they created the first futuristic Call of Duty game. This campaign would be set 30 to 50 years in the future, setting it around 2040 to 2060. Jumping straight into the campaign first, we have our first mission called Border. This map was pretty striking to me. Despite the game being set in the future, the weapons and scenario seem pretty similar to what we would see in Modern Warfare 2. almost as if it was a testing ground of some sorts for a Modern Warfare 2 expansion, which the game technically would be, but without the futuristic setting. This mission would have had players fight through a battlefield in order to retake a church at the end. Again, this was pretty early on in development, so it's not the entire mission, but just a slice of what the full mission would entail. And to note just once more, this prototype had identical weapons to MW2 and enemies as well. It doesn't really seem futuristic to me. This would also follow through with the next cut mission where players would have to stealth through a hospital in order to capture a VIP.
On me. Two up ahead. Get the one on the left. Clear. Let's move. Behind the desk. Good kill. Let's move.
Overlord, no sign of him so far.
Copy, Alpha. Proceed to the west wing.
But of course, since it's me, I did manage to mess up the stealth aspect and had to go full guns blazing through the rest of the mission. But despite it not resembling a futuristic setting, I did have a ton of fun going through the enemies here. It almost made me wish we did see a Modern Warfare 4 instead of Call of Duty Ghosts. That would have been built upon Modern Warfare 3 with Neversoft at the helm. But eventually, after fighting through waves of enemies, you would reach the VIP, where once you and your team found out that you couldn't move them, you would be instructed to terminate them. Which is such a classic Modern Warfare trope that I definitely would have expected it anyways.
Negative copy, Overlord. Repeat last. Understood. Let's move.
And finally, we arrive at our first futuristic campaign mission, fit with the futuristic arsenal to accompany it. In this mission, you are placed onto the moon and are set with fighting an adjacent moving train with a slew of futuristic weapons. It seems like these weapons were kind of reskinned versions of weapons we saw in Modern Warfare 2, but with new animations, sounds, and damage changes. At least that's the impression I got from them. I'll let this section play out without commentary so you can fully take in how awesome it was to try this prototype out.
This is our stop. Get ready, they know we're coming. Contact, 11 o'clock! Aim for those compressed air canisters. Roger that, I see you.
After the fight out, there would be a cutscene that would play where it seems like one of the characters would either betray you or be the main antagonist behind the game. I couldn't really tell, unfortunately.
Walker, we finally caught up with you. Traitor! I'm no fucking snake. You wasted Griff. You betrayed your brothers, your country, everything!
Hate to interrupt, but we got hostile technicals approaching fast.
And that's where my game crashed. So, with that awesome snippet, let's move on to the multiplayer, where we would see some of these weapons be actually used. Here, I'll run through all of the weapons that were available in this prototype. It really seemed like Neversoft fleshed out a ton of them and had a big variety of different weapons for the players to play around with. I'll show some gameplay of them in a bit, but it really does break my heart to know that this game would never see the light of day, because I think it could have been a breath of fresh air from the era of Modern Warfare 2 up until Ghosts. And here are a list of maps in this build too. Like the Black Ops 2 prototype I showed you a while back, which I implore you to check out if you haven't already, there's a ton of goodies there. A lot of them aren't functionally here, unfortunately. But the first map that I do have access to was called Pit Stop. Again, just like some of the campaign missions, it seemed to not have an over-the-top futuristic setting, but something more akin to what we would see if we had a Modern Warfare 2 expansion. Despite this, however, we do have access to the weapons that Neversoft built up here, and boy are they fun to use. Starting with the first one, the ECR Phoenix. The ECR had a super fast firing rate, which would have definitely annoyed me to get killed by had this game shipped. And for the next weapon, we have the Cloaking Shield. Despite its name, I wasn't able to test out the cloaking ability, if it even was implemented yet, but I think the idea behind it would have been super cool. It resembles a riot shield from MW2. And of course, because it was a Call of Duty game, we had to have a SCAR, and in this game, it's reincarnated as the SCAR Mark II. It would have been a continuation of the SCAR H from Modern Warfare 2. And now, for one of my favorite weapons in this build, we have the Type 104 SMG. I really like the way this weapon looked, and it had such a unique reloading animation too. And for the last map I have to show you guys today, we have Stasis. This map had such a cool concept art in the loading screen, and as you can see, it's still heavily in development, but I really like the snowy vibes it gave off. I'm going to let this gameplay play out a little bit so you can get a feel of what this map looked like. And there you have it, a deep dive into the lost and cancelled games of the Xbox 360 era. From the ambitious Spider-Man 4 that could have redefined the superhero genre to the playful creativity of the cancelled Halo Mega Bloks project, we've uncovered the stories behind these hidden gems and prototypes that never saw the light of day. If you guys like this video and want to see more like it, I implore you to watch the videos I made on the evolution of Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 2007. The history behind the prototypes of those games were wild, and a ton of people seem to really enjoy them. These games today reminded us of the countless hours of innovation and effort that goes into creating the worlds we love, even if they don't make it to our consoles. Again, if you guys enjoy this exploration into gaming history, don't forget to leave a like, share your favorite cancelled game in the comments, and subscribe for more content like this. Let me know if you guys want to see a part 2 of this, because I had a lot of fun making this video, and who knows, maybe next time we'll uncover even more gaming secrets from the past. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.